Welcome to Mid-Century Living, your weekly nostalgia podcast about the best of technology and culture from the mid-20th century.
Welcome back to Mid-Century Living, the show where we talk all about the best of the mid-20th century and how to add vintage vibes to your modern life. We're your hosts, Jackie.
And Gonzalo, thank you for joining us today. So today we're talking about a great mid-century food company, which we would bet everyone out there in podcast land has tried their bread or their cookies. Pepperidge Farm, which for the entire time I was researching, I kept calling it Pepperidge Farms.
I know, I didn't realize that until I read your outline that it doesn't have an S at the end.
Yeah, there's no S.
Oops.
So more on the topic in a bit. If you'd like to skip ahead to that topic, we have a little timestamp in our notes, or you can check our new chapter links on our episode. But first, it's been a while. How's your summer?
My summer's been good. So since we last recorded, I had my birthday. We went to the tiki bar, and then we had the 4th of July, and I made some crazy hot dogs. And then you got married, so we went to your wedding. And then the tiki bar closed, so we went to their farewell party. They're gonna turn into or go back to a pop-up and catering company, which
hmm
is how we discovered them to begin with. So basically, it's been a very tiki summer. Just like anytime Swizzle Dallas has done anything, we've just been like there the whole time.
hmm
So I'm excited to see what they're going to do now as a pop-up thing because their pop-up events are always really fun and it kind of encourages you to like go around Dallas and try different places anyway. So that's exciting. And then my Disney trip that's coming up is getting really real now, so I've started working on sewing. I have an ambitious list of 5 outfits I want to make, and I've got just under 3 months to do it. So wish me luck.
Good
As we
luck.
know, I've been averaging one project every 2 months this year, but now that's just going to be all my free time. I actually gave myself a couple like 3-day weekends between now and my vacation just so that I have extra days to sew. So,
Good.
That's my boring summer. Now let's hear about the good stuff, which is your very exciting new married life summer. Tell us.
I need a question because
So, how was your wedding?
it was amazing.
Was it everything you hoped it'd be?
Yeah, I mean, we planned maybe a bit too much.
No such thing.
Um,
There's no way that you can plan too much for a wedding.
there was a 21-page document
Good for you.
with like diagrams of like what the table should look like and like very clear instructions. And I was it was a bit rushed for me because like I was in the process of leaving, but I feel like people liked the kazoo's. We had kazoo's as their send off, and I've never used a kazoo successfully, but it sounded like people did because I could hear the kazoo's.
Good.
And then my little niece, as soon as we like the next day that they drove up back home to Chicago, and my sister sent us a little video of my little niece, the youngest one. She was like crying, but she's like because she missed us, and then she's like, Kimmy's dress was so beautiful.
Aww.
It was very like all the emotions.
I had a great time, but I always have a great time at weddings because none of the pressure is on for the guests at all. We're just enjoying all of your months and months of work. So I'm really curious to see like what it was like. Like did you feel like you enjoyed it thoroughly? Like
Yeah,
or were you feeling rushed and stressed?
no, I don't think we felt rushed. It would be nice to have it been like maybe a little 30 minutes longer, just so we could talk to everyone. But I didn't feel pressured. I didn't feel rushed. The
Yay.
food was amazing.
It was really good food. I love that we got to try all the sides. Like all the
hmm
food. Actually all the entrees. We got like one of everything and they just like passed around the sides family style. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, we wanted it to be family style because it's like the blending of the families and the friends being part of the family. So,
Those grilled
uh,
carrots rocked. I couldn't stop talking about them, by the way.
oh, the carrots, they were good.
You could taste the like grill, like the fire flavor on them. It was awesome. I was like, no one really puts this much thought into vegetables. I was like so pleased.
I'm glad that they were liked. I'm gonna talk. Well, I don't want to talk about the screws yet, but because there's a food talk moment later on, and I'm sure you guys are like, get on, like get started with the show. But before that, okay, so wedding was great. The reception was amazing. We had it at this like historic building. It was the third firehouse of Houston, like ever. So like obviously it's no longer a firehouse because we have fancy ones with trucks. This is back when they had horse drawn ones. But we went on a Caribbean cruise afterwards, and it was amazing. And I cannot talk about it enough. But one of the things that we had there, which was amazing, was these like mashed potatoes that were called silky palms, which is basically just palms that you got. I don't have words for it. They were so good. We tried making it at the house this week, and we got pretty close.
Cool.
But they were a little sulkier. They were like a little smoother than the ship. But they were the best mashed potatoes in the world.
I feel like on cruises, they're not like none of the recipes are secrets. Like you can usually ask, and they'll tell you how they make things.
Well, I didn't know that.
Oh, well, you should have asked.
Well,
Especially, or you could have gotten your butler to ask.
it was really interesting because at one point we had dinner at the restaurant, and then we're like we're kind of hungry. I don't know if we want dessert yet. So the waiter came by and it's like, "What do you all want for dessert?" It's like, "Well, we like this, but can we have it to go?" And she's like, "Yeah, no problem. I'll call your butler and he can come pick it up."
So fancy.
I was like, "Okay, I can get used to this." But it was like, apart from that, like it was nice having that level because like we could go to the main pool, like be extroverted, and then when our social batteries was a little low, we can go and like chill at the hot tub.
Where did you go on the cruise, or was it mostly about like the sea days? And
No, there was a sea day. We went to Roatan in Honduras, Belize, Cozumel, and then Private Island.
oh, fun!
Yeah,
Private island days are my favorite days.
yeah. One thing we did not eat, however, while there, were Pepperidge Farm products.
Yes, excellent transition. Let's get on with the show.
So, what's your favorite Pepperidge Farm product?
Well, my gut reaction was to say mint Milano cookies.
Ooh, interesting choice. We'll find more about that later.
Because I feel like I don't buy them, but whenever I'm around them, I have to eat them, and they're like when I close my eyes and think of Pepperidge Farm, that's what I think about. But if I'm
Interesting.
the a product of theirs I actually buy regularly is they're like just whole grain thin sliced bread for sandwiches, but also the like my favorite of their bread products probably is the cinnamon raisin swirl bread.
Ooh, good choice.
Tastes really good with peanut butter on it.
Yeah, you toast it a little bit, and it's a great base for French toast.
Yes. It is A plus. Probably the least healthy of their bread products, but it is delicious. What is
Yeah, but if
your
you're making
favorite?
French toast, you're not really health conscious, are you?
Well, I mean, honestly, French toast isn't that bad if you use like almond milk because it's just like adding extra protein to your bread with the egg, you know?
Yeah,
But I guess it's
and,
the butter and the maple syrup later that ruin it
and the powdered sugar.
and the powdered sugar.
Oh, I'm hungry. I haven't had any carbs yet today.
Oh no, it's time for carbs. Or you're gonna want some carbs after this episode for sure, because we're just gonna talk about carbs for the next 30 minutes. So buckle up, everybody. But Gonzalo, what's your favorite Pepperidge Farm product?
I don't know. There's so many that are really good. Okay, I like the regular Milanos. I like the little pirouettes, which were the little like sticks that
Yeah,
when you're a little kid you like use as a cigarette
or a sword. They're not very good
or a
swords.
sword.
They break
No, no,
really
no.
quickly.
They break, especially because whenever you get in the can, half of them are already broken in half anyway, and they're the perfect cigarette size. Not that we condone smoking, but
We don't not
uh,
condone smoking either.
true. It's true. We have talked a lot about cigarettes. Uh, I don't. You know what? I don't know if I've ever had their bread, which is interesting because we'll find out. That's how they started.
But you've had the raisin one, but you've never had their like
Well,
bread.
yeah, I
Their
have. I
like
don't
bread
think I've had
flavored
like
bread.
yeah, their bread flavored bread. They used to have, and I miss this. They used to have a like a sampler cookie tray in the cookie aisle,
Ooh,
and it was like there were Milano, they were Brussels, there were Chessmen, there were pirouettes. Like there was like four other ones. And it came in a little tray, and like there were like maybe four of each, but that was best.
but now that we're already hungry, we should probably get into the history of this company.
Yes, in true mid-century living fashion, we had to cover a little bit of history. So, because if not, is it really an episode of ours? Rhetorical question. So the story of Pepperidge Farm is actually the story of one of the greatest business leaders of the early and mid 1900s, and her name was Margaret Rutkin. So she was actually born Margaret Fogarty in New York City in 1897, which I know is behind our time, but don't worry because her company forms when she's in her 40s. She actually graduated valedictorian from high school and worked in New York before she got married to a Wall Street broker by the name of Henry Rutkin in 1923. And when they were married, they moved to Fairfield, Connecticut, to a 125-acre property named Pepperidge Farm, which is actually named in honor of an ancient pepperidge tree or a sorghum tree that grew in there. And they had 3 sons, and it's important because the story of Pepperidge Farm, the food company, begins during the Great Depression, and due to the severe allergies of the couple's youngest son, who was unable to eat most of the commercially processed foods due to allergies and asthma and that kind of stuff. So, based on advice, Margaret put her son on a diet of fruits and vegetables, as well as minimally processed foods. And that led to her one day trying to bake an all natural stone ground whole wheat bread, which was at the time common to have the puffy, aerated white breads with no minerals and nutrients in it. And she wanted to keep all that stuff in it. So uh, she tried her hand at baking, and it was not good. At first, she said that her loaves should be sent to the Smithsonian Institute as a sample of Stone Age bread because they were about an inch tall and hard as rock. But through trial and error, she began and eventually succeeded in her endeavor to make good, wholesome bread. And her bread was good. And more than that, the nutrients needed actually helped her son's health. And it also didn't hurt that it tasted good enough for him to like it. And soon, even his doctor, Dr. Donaldson, endorsed the bread and even began to prescribe it to many of his patients.
Oh man, I would love to get a prescription for bread. Like, oh, you need to eat this bread. It'll make you feel better. The dream.
It is. I mean, you can still go do that. I can just tell you, hey, you need to go eat that bread because it's going to make you feel better. And emotionally, it will.
Emotionally, it does, yeah.
But anyway, she then tried to get her bread out there by approaching a grocer to see if he could sell Pepperidge Farm bread. And she attempted to sell it. She was a little, I guess, ballsy because she wanted to sell it for 25 cents a loaf to cover all her costs. The problem was that a loaf of bread at the time went for about 10 cents. Adjusted for inflation, we're talking about her like regular bread going for about $2 a loaf, and she wanted to sell hers for like almost 5.5. So like it's a pretty big markup.
Yep. But you get what you pay for.
True. The grocer, understandably, was skeptical at first, and then was won over when Margaret did a taste test of her bread. And he then bought all her loaves and then asked for more. Like literally, like when she got home, he called and was like, "We need more." And thus, Pepperidge Farm was born.
And that brings us to the mid-century also. During this whole time, Margaret had been working between her kitchen and her garage, but by 1940 she already sold 1 million loaves of bread. And this was helped by a Reader's Digest article called Bread Deluxe that told Margaret's story to the world and also marketed her bread. So in 1940, Pepperidge Farm moves to its first actual factory. Also, around this time, World War II happened, so she had to cut production because she refused to substitute her top quality ingredients, such as real butter, 100% stone ground whole wheat, and honey, which were all rationed during the war. So she worked this way until the end of the war. With the peace that followed 1945, Margaret came up with a plan to expand her little company, and little did she know how impactful this would be. On July 4th, in 1947, they cut the ribbon on a new state of the art bakery in Norwalk, Connecticut. The new factory allowed the company to thrive, and even though most of the bread making process was automated, because it was the mid century, so of course it was, the bread was still kneaded by hand because that was what made it top quality bread. And at this factory, Pepperidge Farm was able to crank out 77,000 loaves of bread a week.
Which I can't, I don't know how to compare that to like other bread makers, but it feels like that's a lot.
It feels like that's a lot, especially like picturing an assembly line of people hand kneading bread.
That's true. I know I kind of have this idea of like a conveyor belt
Mhm.
of like all like just like of dough,
Yeah. And then it has
very
to go
much like
somewhere
Chicken Run.
in proof. I'm picturing robot arms coming out of the ceiling to knead the bread, but it's probably better when it's people. Now it looks more like that I Love Lucy episode in my head. So now we're skipping ahead a little to the 1950s. The Redkins traveled to Europe often during this decade, discovering new flavors. And Margaret discovered the unique fancy cookies of Belgium with chocolate, produced by Belgian Royal House. And this made an impact on her because there were no similar counterparts in the USA. So Margaret bought the rights to these cookies, well, to produce them and sell them under the banner of Pepperidge Farm, that is. And this is the beginning of more than a bread for the company, and we get the Milano, Brussels, and Bordeaux cookies, which remain some of the most popular cookies in their product lineup.
Yes, and they're so good.
In the 1950s, Margaret also guessed correctly that homemakers would love frozen pastry. And also, Pepperidge Farm turnovers and other frozen goodies were announced. The most successful of these frozen things was the puff pastry, which allowed consumers, even inexperienced consumers, to create their own masterpieces. I have never tried to make puff pastry from scratch. Have you?
I've always wanted to, but I'm a little intimidated by all the butter.
Ad campaigns. So, this is when we get an impactful and kind of famous ad campaign in 1956, which is where the character of Titus Moody was introduced. He was a Pepperidge Farm delivery man, complete with a horse and buggy. Ads featuring Titus Moody ran for nearly 40 years, making it one of the longest running campaigns in TV history.
The 1950s are also responsible for other famous bits to Pepperidge Farm's history. Pepperidge Farms with an apostrophe history. For example, its logo. There's a little bit of a dispute because there's no like reliable information that I could find online about when the logo was introduced. But the logo features a little reddish brown flour mill, complete with a little turning water wheel, which is covered in snow, and a banner that says Pepperidge Farm that sits above the mill. And the drawing is actually based on an actual and still operational mill located in Sudbury, Massachusetts. It's actually located on the grounds of the Wayside Inn, which is the oldest operating inn in the USA, which started in the early 1700s. So, like, wow. The mill was actually built between 1923 and 1929 by automotive tycoon Henry Ford, and it ground its first cornmeal on Thanksgiving Day 1929, and still mills the grains used for the inn's restaurant. But it's important to Pepperidge Farm because in 1952, they leased the mill to produce flour for its baked goods and used the mill until 1967, milling more than 9,000 tons of flour for the use of Pepperidge Farm. And this is what inspired the company's logo. So when you see that, you're actually seeing a real.
The real meal that they used. I love that.
Yeah. We also, in the 1950s, get one of the most popular cookies of Pepperidge Farm, the Milano, which is Jackie's favorite, at least the mint one is. This one's not only one of the most popular Pepperidge Farm cookies, but also one of the most popular overall when compared to so many other cookies. Like, seriously, there's like 20 different flavors from pumpkin spice to milk chocolate to double chocolate to key lime to also mint chocolate, apparently.
Apparently. They're like, what? I think that's the most popular cookie in the universe. Like, the mint
Okay, so
Milano.
maybe we'll see if people agree with you or not later on,
Okay.
but I just feel like mint and chocolate taste too much like an after eight.
But after eights are delicious.
Yeah, but I don't want an after eight in a cookie. I
Yeah,
want an
you do.
after eight after eight.
No, it's the thing is the the trick. I know it's like really easy to overdo it on the mint, but I've never met a mint chocolate thing that I didn't like. Honestly, peppermint patties are good. After eights are good. Mint chocolate chip ice cream is good. Mint Milanos are good. Mint Oreos are good. Nope, they're all good. All of them.
I don't know. I think I'll stick to the after eights after eight. Just when I should be eaten. They shouldn't be eaten at 7:50.
I think you can eat them whenever you want.
Well, the Milano cookie is a flaky, buttery cookie held together by rich and creamy chocolate ganache style filling. And according to a Statistica survey from November 2020, over 1 million people in the USA ate either one or more packages of Milano in the last 30 days from the survey, meaning in October 2020. But the birth of Milano cookies came from shipping mishap, actually, in the 1950s. Because in 1957, Pepperidge Farm was experimenting with a new cookie called the Naples, which does not sound as cool as Milano, even though both Italian places, kind of. Anyway, these were open-faced cookies with a fine layer of chocolate on it, and they worked great until Pepperidge Farm decided to ship them to the south of the USA. And for all of those of us out in the south of the US, it gets really hot. And these cookies could not stand this hot southern heat, and the chocolate melted en route. So to solve a sticky mess, Pepperidge Farm was like, we'll just double up on the cookies and make them little sandwiches instead of open faced. And that is the birth of the Milano.
I'm actually shocked that just adding another cookie solved the melting problem, but I'm glad to hear it.
The
Yeah,
mint
I
one.
feel like I've talked about the Milano enough, and we can just skip straight to the next.
Okay, moving into the 1960s.
It's
then.
not the Milano cookie episode. Really, it's the Goldfish episode, but we'll get there later.
We'll get there quickly. Actually, because in the 1960s, the Rutkins kept improving on the company and also kept traveling. And then after another trip to Europe, this time to Switzerland, the Rutkins discovered a unique fish-shaped cracker. And they're like, we have to have this in the US. And that gave birth to the Goldfish, which is still one of the leading icons of Pepperidge Farm. And these took America by storm. In 1961, Margaret also sold Pepperidge Farm to Campbell Soup, which is another family-run food company. This also allowed her to sit on the Campbell Soup Board, becoming the first woman to do so.
Yay.
Yeah. And also in the 60s, in 63, she published Pepperidge Farm Cookbook, which is a combination of her favorite recipes and memoirs of the years. And she became the first cookbook to chart on the New York Times bestseller list.
I have one sitting in my eBay cart.
Nice. In 1966, she retired. But let's stick in the 60s because I mentioned I was going to talk about Goldfish, and the 1960s is when Goldfish came about. These are small little fish-shaped crackers with a little small imprint of an eye and a smile, with the tagline, "The snack that smiles back, Goldfish." In the mid-century, 5 flavors were introduced: the lightly salted, which later became the original, cheese, barbecue, which I've got thoughts on, pizza, and smoky, which I'm not sure what that flavor is. Like Gouda, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe like a smoky cheese, but because it would have to be different from barbecue.
Yeah. The popular cheddar cheese one, though, was not introduced until 1966. And in 1997 is when the smile appears, and it is set to about 40% of the crackers. So if you get a bag of Goldfish and not all of them are smiles, that's fine.
I've never looked at them that close.
Oh, I have. They're actually sold worldwide, except for in Armenia, Iran, North Korea, and Syria. And there's been a lot of spin offs: the goldfish sandwich, the goldfish bread, the multicolored goldfish, the baby goldfish, which were just the same but smaller. And they were a favorite snack of Julia Child. She even served them as an appetizer during Thanksgiving meals.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Pepperidge Farm. The company continued to grow after Margaret's retirement and as the mid century became the 1970s and then the late 20th century. Pepperidge Farm bread even traveled aboard the doomed Apollo 13 and also on Apollo 14's space flights, and later in Discovery as well. And during the 1970s, this time period is also when the nostalgic Pepperidge Farm Remembers ads ran on television, which featured an old man and the tagline Pepperidge Farm Remembers, harking back to a time when baking involved quality ingredients and care. The tagline was often at the end. And this is a good transition into the connection to today.
The Pepperidge Farm Remembers became an internet meme and popular, very popular, due to Family Guy, out of all things. So in it, the character Peter Griffin uses the phrase to recall happier times or point out past events followed by a humorous or exaggerated memory. And the meme often uses a cartoon image of an old man from Family Guy in the style of the actual commercials from the 1970s. And on the internet memes, they're usually some random cultural callback memory followed by the phrase Pepperidge Farm remembers and the old man from Family Guy. So, for example, it'll say things like, "Remember when there were only 150 Pokemon? Pepperidge Farm remembers." Or, "Remember when Leo didn't have an Oscar? Pepperidge Farm remembers." So,
That is really funny. But the actual most important legacy from Pepperidge Farm is the emphasis the company has placed from its beginning on women and startups. So Rudkin actually paved the way for women-led food brands. Other popular women-led food brands, successful in their own right, but building on the foundation that Rudkin laid out, are Jenny's Splendid Ice
which are
Cream.
really good.
Yeah, I love them. Oh my gosh, I finally went to one of those scoop shops. There's one I
Yeah.
drive by on my way to Trader Joe's every weekend. I drive past one and I finally stopped and tried one and there was they could tell when I walked in I hadn't been there before and they gave me a whole tour and they use metal tasting spoons.
I stumbled upon one in Charlotte, maybe South Carolina. Is that South Carolina? I happened to be there for work, and the people I was with were like, "We need to go here." And like, "What is this place? Like, what? It's just an ice cream shop." And like, "No, no, no."
Really wacky flavors. I love a wacky ice cream. Anyway, so the women-led food brands, other than Jenny's, there's also Freshly and McBride Sisters wines. Another legacy of Pepperidge Farm is the emphasis on authenticity and small batch origins. A big part of the Pepperidge Farm story is its start as a one-woman bake shop, meaning that it was not originally a business, but instead a small operation that found success. Success stories like Margaret Rudkin's are what inspire and push not just women, but everyone wanting to have a startup to actually doing it. Kind of a, well, she did it, so I can do it too, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Another is their commitment to good ingredients, and this is something that 2025 really values. We seem to be moving away from heavily processed foods in favor of high quality, better tasting foods. Thanks, it probably in no small part to COVID and everyone learning to bake sourdough.
yeah. Everyone was like, "Ooh, I can make my own bread now."
And modern day is all about health and healthy alternatives. Many people who suffer from things like food sensitivities don't have as much of an issue when the food they eat is made from natural and whole ingredients. And remember, Rudkin was so committed to this that during the war, she actually stopped production rather than succumb to using lower quality ingredients. and this is the foundation of the company and a huge value today.
Yeah.
And then there's the cultural continuity. So they've been around, consistent and wholesome since the mid century. So many people who grew up eating these foods are now choosing to purchase them for their kids. So millennials and Gen Zers are choosing Pepperidge Farm for its values and nostalgia.
It's not just their wholesome food and quality, right? It's also the cookies that are part of their legacy. Let's get to the brass tacks. So because they're so known for the cookies, it's only right that we give you some info on them. And we're gonna rank these. We wanted to rank them really, but let's face it, the budget doesn't stretch to buy all the cookies. But that's not a problem because there's a web blog that already did this, which prevented me from having to buy the cookies, eat one for the taste test, and then be stuck with all boxes of cookies, which, let's face it, I have a problem. I won't stop eating them. So this is a ranking of the cookies. It comes from a Taste of Home article, and it's based on some of metrics. So this is what they were looking at. They were looking at a cookie that tasted fresh, one that had appropriate texture and flavor. So like things like a shortbread with a good crumb, buttery taste, and a sandwich cookie that had enough filling. And basically, cookies that fulfilled the promise on the box. And they tasted 14 cookies. We're not going to go over all of them because we'll be here forever. Just the highlights. But let's start with, according to them, the worst one, the strawberry thumbprint, which is a little cookie with a little bit of like strawberry jam on it. And they said that the jelly was too gummy, which I can understand, but there's an Argentine cookie that is amazing. It's called a pepa, and it's basically that, and it's like delicious.
I mean, I love a thumbprint cookie. I don't think I've ever had the Pepperidge Farm ones, but isn't I don't know, maybe gumminess isn't something you're looking for in a jam.
I guess not. I guess they were looking for it to be like, here's some a cookie, like put a spoon of jam on top. But let's talk about the top three. We're gonna go from 3, 2, and 1. So the number 3 cookie is the Mint Milano, which is one of their classic cookies. And instead of regular chocolate filling, it has a slight layer of mint as well. Probably also the most iconic alternative to the original. And this impressed the judges due to its filling having the right balance of mint and chocolate. Jackie, do you agree?
I do agree. It is perfectly
Yeah,
balanced.
I thought. Number 2 is the Farmhouse, specifically the triple chocolate chip, because Farmhouse is like a little newer line of products of thin and crispy cookies. But the triple chocolate chip won second place due to its combination of milk and dark chocolate with white chocolate chips, and it had an exceptional rating on appearance, chocolate flavor, and a satisfying crunch.
That sounds delicious. I have not tried any of their farmhouse brands, but now I kind
I
of
have
want
not
to.
either, mostly because if I get Pepperidge Farm cookies, I will either get the Milanos or Sausalito, which I was very upset did not make it.
That wasn't one of the
Top
14
three.
cookies they tried?
It was, but it wasn't even top 5.
Oh, yikes.
I know.
Well, at least it wasn't last.
Yeah. Number 1 though is a dark chocolate Milano. It's an absolute classic. Perfectly crisp cookie paired with a layer of dark chocolate. These really should be first, obviously, no questions asked, because it doesn't matter when you have these, they will always be perfect. And also, once you open a package, can you really close it back without finishing it? I think not. Maybe that's just me. I did have a couple of disagreements with their rating because the Brussels were ranked 12 out of 14. And this is one of the classics and one of my favorites. They're an ultra thin cookie, allegedly oatmeal, but like I've never tasted the oatmeal in there, with a dark chocolate filling. And their reasoning was that their combo was slightly bitter. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's what I want.
Right,
I don't want it to be super sweet.
That's what I want in a dark chocolate filling also.
Yeah.
Like that's the appeal. And your Sausalito didn't rank in the top 5. What number did it get? Do you remember?
12.
Oh, that sucks.
Okay, so let's talk about the real inspiration for this episode because Goldfish in the 2020s is what I want to talk about a little bit. And Pepperidge Farm kind of expanded their Goldfish brand by including some limited edition varieties. And we actually came upon these by accident with my wife, and we've been trying all the different ones we can find. And this is our ranking from best to worst. The best ones is the Old Bay seasoning. These are amazing. They taste so good. It's like a little salty, but it's also goldfish covered in Old Bay. They're like perfect. Next up, the Harry Potter butterbeer, which is a Graham style goldfish and tastes like butterscotch and are great. The Elf ones, which are also Graham style. Graham.
You just
Graham.
pretend that H isn't there.
And they're also very similar to butterbeer ones, but a little less butterscotch and a little bit more cinnamon.
Are the elf crackers seasonal?
I would guess so. Some of these are limited. Like the ones that are done, they're done. Strawberry shortcake are good and solid. And there's some contenders we've tried that are either just okay or no good. Vanilla cupcake, cinnamon roll, and awesome sauce. And awesome sauce, I have no clue what it is. It doesn't explain it, but it's like really intense, really good flavor for about 30 microseconds, and then it's just an oyster cookie.
Oh.
But they make great croutons in a salad.
Yeah, I was thinking that the Old Bay seasoned crackers might be good, like in chowder.
I don't know. They don't make it to the table because I eat them on the way. But the awesome sauce we use as a crouton alternative,
That's awesome.
which makes us feel really adult because we have goldfish in our salads.
It was actually, while I'm talking about putting them in soup, I love to hear the Campbell's tie-in because I feel like there's a big marketing campaign I've seen for like putting your goldfish in tomato soup.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I have all these ideas about like different goldfish and soup pairings, and like I think that would be super fun to do.
Yeah, you should. There are some we haven't tried yet. The Frank's Red Hot, which apparently were so popular that they become a regular instead of a limited style. And then also the spicy dill pickle and the pumpkin spice grams.
I did
Haven't
not
tried
know
any
they
of
made
those.
pumpkin spice goldfish. I'll keep an eye out because it's August now, which means pumpkin's gonna start hitting any minute. So
That's true. We're almost in the PSL.
August 26th.
There's a date?
Yeah, they always announce the date, so I can plan my outfit. That's why they announce it in advance because they know that I'm trying to plan an outfit for the first PSL of the season.
Okay. Well, now we all know. 25 days ago from time of recording. Some discontinued ones are the mac and cheese, which gross, cookies and cream, the Cinnabuddy snack bites, and the flavor blasted grams. But that is it for goldfish. So now that we've cut up to the present, it's time for our etiquette segment. So Jackie, what do we have today?
So funny you said presents because my mid-century etiquette today. So it's about gifts specifically for weddings because I was trying to find some like mid-century sandwich etiquette because we were going to talk about bread, but that's apparently too niche. So instead, I've just got another little bit of wedding-related etiquette from Amy Vanderbilt's Guide to Gracious Living, and this was an especially amusing read because it I love that I read this etiquette stuff after your wedding and after the gift giving and after receiving a thank you card because basically, it shows how much times have changed, even more so than the last wedding etiquette episode where like the traditions were mostly normal. Like
Hmm.
this is all like not at all what we did for your wedding or like what you did for your wedding. So I just thought it was really fascinating to compare and contrast. So anyway, here we go. Chapter 10, Wedding Gifts. So people who receive invitations to wedding receptions send a gift if they accept, but they do not need to send one if they regret. But if
Huh.
they're close enough to either family, though, they'll usually want to send a gift whether or not they will be present. Gifts are always addressed to the bride before marriage, even when close friends of the groom send them. Wedding gifts should arrive well before the wedding to allow for their display, should the bride so desire.
We're supposed to display these?
Apparently, you're supposed to not open them and bring them wrapped, or maybe you
Huh.
open them and you bring them unwrapped. There's more on the display later.
Okay.
It's very
I'm
confusing.
excited.
Um, but anyway, so when you send your wedding gift, you enclose your card with a brief line of felicitation, which I had to Google, and it means an expression of joy. So you put your expression of joy at the top in ink, and you address your gift to the bride in her maiden name, if it's certain to arrive before the wedding. Gifts sent after the wedding, usually sent in response to an announcement, are addressed to Mr. and Mrs.
Okay.
A formal display of wedding gifts is less often seen now, she says in the 60s, though it is still good taste to exhibit them. The gifts may be placed on display on white damask tablecloths so guests may view them during the reception. Cards are to be removed from the gifts displayed, and gifts of more or less like value are grouped together to discourage comparisons. So, yeah, you open all your presents and then you bring them to the wedding, and then you put them on a tablecloth covered table without the card so people could just go, like, oh, they got the Cuisinart toaster.
I have questions because like
Isn't that
I feel
wild?
like this it's wild. I feel like it's like look at all the stuff I have.
Look at all my
Like
stuff. But at least they take the cards out and they put, like, all the expensive stuff next to each other. But then yet you're
yeah.
gonna have, like, half the table filled with, like, stuff from Pottery Barn, and then, like, all the Target stuff is on the right, like
Oh. You know what? I'm gonna. I feel like it's totally fine if you give a couple a smaller gift. You don't need to like buy them the $700 Breville espresso maker, which we did not have. We did not have that in our registry.
you know,
We have enough
$700.
coffee makers in our house.
Yeah. There was actually a section in this chapter about not worrying about spending beyond your means,
Yeah,
and that a
totally.
handmade gift that has sentimental value could be just as appreciated as a fancy gift. So like you
We have a
feel
handmade gift.
pressure to like
We have 2 handmade gifts.
good. But yeah, there was a whole section about that, but that was normal, and I didn't include it in the etiquette because I only put the weird stuff in the etiquette. So after we've had the formal display of wedding gifts, then we're down to the thank you notes. So even if the bride does not know the sender of the gift, who may be a friend of her husband's, she herself must write the thank you note within 2 to 3 weeks after receipt of the gift. They should never be written on Mr. and Mrs. cards, nor on cards that say thank you on the top fold. Whoops. Sorry, I thought it was so funny because I literally just got your thank you card yesterday. And you wrote it. And it said thank you on the top fold. But they should be on good quality conservative note paper or on informals, which, if engraved or imprinted, should carry the bride's name or initials alone. At a large wedding where there are hundreds of gifts to personally acknowledge, an engraved card may be sent immediately upon receipt of the gifts that should read something like, Miss Penelope Kingsley wishes to acknowledge the receipt of your wedding gift and will write a personal note of appreciation at an early date. So you just basically send them a like confirmation email that like, yes, I have received your gift, and I will put some thought into my response later.
Later.
So Gonzalo, I'm especially curious to hear your take on these etiquette tips.
Well, I feel like I should say oops, because we've totally screwed up with the etiquette on that, because I don't think we follow a single thing in the thank you notes.
Right? And I
But
don't
it's
think
fine.
anyone does getting married these days. I feel like it's just so funny that it's like all these beats are beats people still hit, but we just do them totally wrong.
I think it's better though, like if it's more meaningful if like they're a friend of the husband writes the thank you note. I mean, they both the husband and wife sign it, but I think it's more meaningful that way. Although ours do not say Mr. and Mrs. They just say thank you, which apparently is like also wrong.
Yeah, it's very.
But you know what? I'm okay with that. With the thank you. I mean, not the.
You're okay with it saying thank you, or you're okay with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. I'm okay with all of the modern version of how we do here. What I find most fascinating, both from the whole episode we did on wedding etiquette and this little afterword on just gift giving, is that the big difference I see in weddings from then to now is like weddings were all about the bride, and like so the whole pre-wedding stuff was all about like the parents inviting everyone to their daughter's
Mm-hmm.
day, and like it that just extends into the gift response apparently, because then the bride is personally responsible for writing all the thank you notes, because it's like the parents of the bride and then the bride's day and then like all that stuff, and the groom has no say in it, whereas now weddings are more like the couple together inviting their friends and family,
Yeah.
like, and they do everything as a couple, including writing thank you notes. And I think overall the way that wedding etiquette has evolved is an improvement.
Yeah. No, I agree too. So I honestly, I think this is going to be a decline of the stamp from me, because I like the way we do it now better.
I agree. So we have a rare unstamp. We don't even have like a unapproved
I know.
like we
need
do it so rarely, we don't have like a cute catchy phrase for it.
The stamp of disapproval.
We will put this one in the discard pile.
There we go. File it under no. But with that, it looks like we have. Hey, look, ding! The oven's ready.
Is that your landed the plane, the baking edition? Okay,
Yeah.
it was a good try.
We have landed the plane. Thank you all for listening today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the show and tell a friend.
You can also follow us on YouTube and Instagram at MCL Podcast. Instagram is the best place to send us feedback and episode suggestions. Send us a DM anytime. You can also contact us through the send us a text message feature in the show notes.
Yes, so send us some fan mail, subscribe, and thanks for listening, guys. We'll talk to you again soon.
Bye!
Thank you for listening to Mid-Century Living. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave a review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram at MCL Podcast. See you next Friday.